Hi everyone, I'm Lauren Christensen, Bryan LifePoint dietitian, joining you again today to share a few tips in regards to mindful eating. It's fairly safe to assume right now that we're all experiencing maybe a little bit heightened stress levels, maybe lots of emotions that we're experiencing. And I just want to make sure that we are thinking through how best to cope with that, with what is within our control. So one of the main things that I've heard is that with disruptions to daily life, people are thrown off of routines, and that may mean, that meal times are at a different point of the day, or maybe they find themselves snacking a little bit more due to boredom. So I just want to share a couple of tips and tricks on how we can really identify whether we are truly hungry and need to fuel our body, or whether we're experiencing an emotion that we're trying to mask through the use of food. So first, I want to kind of go through the differences between the signs of when we're experiencing true hunger versus that of a hunger that may be more located in our head. So true physiological hunger is something that it will occur more gradually. So it doesn't come on super rapidly. It's something that kind of grows between meals. We're more likely to be open to a variety of food choices. Our stomach might be growling. We might experience a loss of energy, difficulty concentrating. But when we experience this, and if we go ahead and eat, we're able to generally stop eating when we're full too, if we're mindful of that. And with that, then we don't have any maybe lingering feelings of guilt or regret. So not that that should be present in any case, but much less likely to occur when we're eating out of true hunger. In comparison, emotional hunger is something that generally comes on a little bit more rapidly. It tends to be more craving based. So it's a specific food that you want and only that will do. You're not open to any other alternatives. So if it's ice cream, only ice cream will suffice. Usually it's something that you want immediate satisfaction about, or you continue to think about it. And it can often be linked to mindless eating. So with this, it may be that we're not aware of how much we're eating much more rapidly, and just really not paying attention to our body's cues at this point. Generally though, we also will find that whatever you did eat doesn't necessarily satisfy whatever feeling or emotion that may have driven that craving or that desire to eat. And again, as I said earlier, we don't want there to be any connection with guilt when we talk about eating. However, I often hear from people that say, oh, well, I ate this or that, and I felt terrible, and that's not what I planned to do. So make sure that if it's something that you want to enjoy and it feels a little bit more like a treat, that it's something that you plan for and that you can walk away from and not feel like you're upset over it. In terms of being able to identify when we want to eat and when we're full, we can think about the scale, and it's a lot like that of fueling or checking our gas gauge. So generally in our car, we like to have our gas tank on full. We don't like to see it when it's on empty, especially if we're headed out for a long drive. But thinking about our hunger scale or fullness scale in the same way is thinking about when to eat and what we want to eat. And that's about checking our internal fuel gauge, what our body is needing versus maybe what it's wanting. So in use of this, we often encourage people when they feel like eating to really ask themselves where they fall on this hunger scale. And ideally, we would like for people to be between a 3 and a 6. 3 being when you would start to eat, so that you don't get to the point where you're ravenous or very, very hungry and would overcorrect and end up feeling maybe uncomfortable. But ending rather at 6 or 7, where you're almost satisfied or full and satisfied. I know it's tricky to really identify when you're almost satisfied. But a key element of this is also allowing your body enough time to send those signals from our stomach to our brain. So as we're eating, we need to kind of be checking in and saying, okay, do I feel like I'm getting there? But if we're eating in less than 10 minutes or less than 20 minutes, really, we're not going to give our body enough time to really generate a proper gauge on that. So it takes about 20 minutes from the time that you start eating to the time that our signals in our brain are aware of whether or not we're full. If we wait to eat when we are at a 1 or 2, that can, again, oftentimes lead us to maybe select foods that are less nutrient dense. We need to eat, and we need to eat now. And we may consume foods more rapidly and at a higher portion. So again, this is a great tool to really allow you to become more aware of when you're hungry and when you're full. Now, another trick to be more mindful within your eating patterns is to select a fruit or a vegetable, and I use broccoli. If you don't like broccoli, don't use broccoli. But, to use a fruit or vegetable that you enjoy, and ask yourself at any point in which you're going to eat whether or not you would be willing to consume that fruit or vegetable. So in this case, are you willing to eat broccoli? If it's true hunger, the idea is that yes, you say, okay, yes, I'm willing to eat broccoli. Doesn't necessarily mean that you have to eat broccoli, but that is an indicator that you're more open to lots of different food choices. And you can go ahead and rate your hunger on that hunger scale and go ahead and eat and fuel and nourish your body. On the other side, if you say, no, I don't want broccoli, and if somebody even would bring that close to me, I'd slap it out of their hands. Only this ice cream or chips or whatever, hamburger will do, then that may be potentially indicative of emotional hunger. If it's only one certain food, one specific food that you want at that point, really try to stop and think of whether there's any other emotions or feelings at play that could be triggering that. You can go one of 2 ways here. Ideally, we would like you to kind of pause and identify what emotions you're experiencing and whether that is truly an emotional response that you're reaching for that food for comfort sources. And if that's the case, then can we find a non-food and beverage related distraction or coping mechanism? And I'll give a couple examples here in a second. If you do go ahead and eat that, chances are high that it's going to be more of a mindless eating experience where we're going to eat more rapidly, we're going to maybe over consume on portions. And again, oftentimes, not that I want it to, but that so often is linked to these feelings of guilt. And so in order to break that very vicious cycle, that's another thing I often hear is, well, I messed up at lunch and I ate something that I wasn't planning on or whatnot, so I might as well do it up big at dinner. It doesn't have to be that way. We can make changes throughout our day. And that can be really valuable in terms of what we take away from those experiences too. So keep that in mind. It's not that we can't ever enjoy those foods, but really disconnecting the emotion from it. So if it's I'm eating because I'm sad or I'm overwhelmed or I'm bored, what can we do that's maybe a little bit healthier for us during that point? If we happen to be truly hungry and we're also happy, sad, bored, whatever, then that's a different scenario. So just make that distinction. So just a couple of helpful examples, in terms of if we identify that we are not truly hungry, try to come up with a comfort list or a list of distractions that would lend itself to getting out of maybe side of your kitchen or just getting out of that environment, shaking it up. A lot of research indicates that 5 to 15 minutes of a distraction or a different type of comfort can be really helpful in curbing any desire to eat from an emotional standpoint. So go for a walk. We've had some lovely weather recently. Talk to a friend via FaceTime or on the phone. Journal, meditate. At my house, I have a couple of young kiddos, so we enjoy having a little dance party, getting out some energy that way. So it can be silly, it can be relaxing, whatever it is that feels like a source of comfort to you. So in closing, I just want to go over a couple of my top tips, really asking yourself, why are you hungry? And maybe even employing that little broccoli test, whether or not you are willing to eat broccoli. Keep a food journal. This is great from a source of accountability. I know if I think about logging a particular food in my food log, then I may take a step back and really consider whether it's something that I need or want. And there is a distinction there. So even incorporating how you're feeling can be really powerful in identifying certain patterns. So if it's, hey, I'm always finding myself bored at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, maybe we need to plan a snack in at that point, and that could actually be taking some of that mindless eating out of that scenario, where you already have identified what you've intended to eat or options to have at that point. Use of distractions. So again, coming up with a comfort list. I also really think it's important to take the labels of good and bad off of foods, because that allows us to choose mindfulness a little bit more easily than depriving ourselves or feeling like certain foods are off limits. So if we tell ourselves that we can't have the certain food, that it's off limits, generally it may make us want it even more. And when we do go ahead and have it, we may overdo on that item. So if we choose mindfulness, it means that we can allow certain items in our eating pattern that may be a little bit more of a treat or what have you, and be able to enjoy it, but be able to keep the portion to an appropriate size and maybe consume it more in moderation. And then also something that I didn't touch on, but meal planning and keeping healthy snacks on hand is another great way for us to stay the course and just do what we had intended to do. Nobody likes having the question of what's for dinner. So really identifying that out, planning that out can be really beneficial, and having some healthy snacks on hand so that those are the things that you maybe opt for instead of higher calorie or less nutrient dense items can be really important too. So with that, I'll leave you with just this fun little consideration of every time you eat is an opportunity to nourish your body. I like to tell people, I want you to think about how you can fuel your body so you can work hard, play hard, and do all the things in between. If you have questions about any of the content I shared today or suggestions for additional videos, please feel free to send me an email to the email listed there below. I hope this finds you all staying really healthy and well, and I will see you soon.